Did it? So guys, welcome. Hi everyone. Um, so today we are going to concentrate on the end user training. So you might ask, what is end user training? So as you know that SAP contains the data of the employees. So this session is more about what is the data that would be collected and how do we save the data in the SAP. Um, so I guess some of us are having the prior experience of maintaining the data in the SAP, but for the other people who doesn't know about that, I'm going to give you a clear picture on what is the data that we collect and how we store that in the SAP. Okay. Um, so I would like to start with few questions. Okay. So everyone might have been offered a job with some or the other company, right? So what are the details that would be requested when the job is offered? Like they will provide us some forms, right? So you will be asked to fill those forms. So can someone help me out with what is the information that you gave when they ask you to provide the details of you? Ganapati?
Yeah, it's about the personal details like name, mobile number, email ID,
Mm-hmm.
and the prior experience of any company,
Okay.
and maybe the address details,
Mm-hmm.
permanent and communication address details,
Mm.
and bank details,
Mm-hmm.
and
Most important things, your name, number,
yeah, name, yeah,
nationality.
yeah. That's all come under address, right? Nationality and first name, mobile number, email
Mm-hmm.
ID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these details will be asked when you join a company, correct? So what does they do with this information? Do they store somewhere, or is it just
Yeah,
in some papers, or is
no,
it in just some software?
they'll store it in somewhere in the I mean the portal. It's kind of a portal. So
Mm-hmm.
when you HR access the record with the employee ID, this is a unique number they'll provide and they'll assign it to that particular person. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say for example, if I join in an organization, so initially they'll create a user ID or they'll create a unique number for me. So
Mm-hmm.
in that unique number, when you HR access my profile with that unique number, so they can get everything like my name, mobile number, email ID, address details, bank details,
Right.
everything.
Correct. So the information that we collect would be stored in SAP against your employee ID, you can call that. Okay. So everyone might have had their employee ID, right? So in SAP terminology, we call that as personal number. So that is a number which can be used to identify your information in the SAP system. All right. So this data will be stored against that employee ID which is created in the system. So how do we store the data, or where do we store the data? I'll come to that part, but before that I would like to show you some of the fields that will be used during your SAP training, and you must know these fields for sure uh, before proceeding with the um, next sessions. Okay. So this is how your SAP screen looks like once you log in into the system. Okay, so the most important part that you should concentrate on this. Okay, so this is kind of enter or refresh button. Like let's say when you have entered some details and you click on this, it gets refreshed. And this field is the most important part which you would use more. This is called as command field. So in SAP there are different types of screens. To navigate to those screens, you will make use of this command field. So to navigate to those screens, we enter some code here. So this code is called as transaction code, or commonly called as T code as well. Okay, so if you want to hide this field, you can just close this. So see, you can't see that command field, and if you want to open it, you can just click on this again, and there is save button. You can't see it highlighted now because we are actually not doing any data changes or nothing, so it's grayed out. So these three fields I'll come to later point of time, and this is a print option where you can use it to print a page or something. This is the find option where you can find the information on that particular page, and this will give you the next find. Let's say there are three lines with the same description, and if you click on find next, it will go to the next available option. And if there are multiple pages, this icon will take you to the first page of the document. This icon will take you to the last page of the document, and these icons are just to the previous page or to the next page. And what does this field do? It creates a new session. So for now, I'm just hovering over the SAP Launchpad, and all you can see is only one window. But if I click on this, so you will see the two windows. So it is for opening a new session. Okay. So now, as I said, information will be collected and stored in the system. So to store this information, like let's say earlier when there was no SAP or nothing, people used to collect that in Excel, correct? Excel or some kind of hard copies document. So if someone asks you to find particular information, like let's say data related to your date of birth, you should search whole sheet to look up like where is that stored in that particular sheet. But in SAP you don't need that, because these common data are clubbed and stored in the SAP, and we call them as information containers, which can also be called as info types in SAP terminology. Info types is nothing but information types. So all the data that's related to common information types, like let's say address. So when we come to the address, it can be personal address, it can be email address, it can be home address, present address. So those data will be stored in the particular info type. So all that data that can be clubbed is assigned a info type identifier, which we call as info type number. Okay, so let me show you how the data looks like in the SAP. So as I said earlier, there is a need where you should be assigned a number to identify you in the system. So for example, if I take an employee like this, so this is how it looks like. So this is the employee number, which we also called as personal number. So you can see the name against him. You can ignore these things for now because I'll come to that at later point of time. Okay. So now, as I said, info types. So let's say if you want to see the employee address. So for each info type, there is a number assigned in SAP. So for address, it's info type 6. So when I enter 6 here and press enter key, you will get the address identified here. And if there are sub informations, what we call as subtypes in SAP terminology, so that will be reflected in the subtypes. So you want to select subtypes. So let's say if there is permanent address, and if we see whether the permanent address is there or not for this employee, there is this icon which when you hover here, it says display. The shortcut for this icon is F7. So when you click on this, if there is permanent address stored for this employee, you can view it here. Okay, so this is where you can enter the permanent address of the employee. Now there is also, as Ganapati said, personal details like name, address, date of birth and all is required. So the personal details will be stored against the info type 2. When you go to this info type 2 and click on display, you will be able to see his title. Like if it is a he, then we can use Mr., Miss, Mrs., whatever it is, and then we can have last name, first name, middle name. Everything can be populated here, the data, the birthday and the languages, nationality, city of birth, and the marital status, and so on. So this is what we call as info types. So how do we enter this information in the system? How can we edit, change, or delete? Like let's say Ganapati has given his name incorrectly. Instead of Ganapati, Ganapathi, he gave Ganapathi. Then he will call the HR and ask them to edit the data. So how can the HR edit that data? That can be known now. So there are, as I said earlier, there are transactions codes to visit each screen. So if you see this screen, there is a header at the top which says display HR master data. So this screen can only be used for displaying the data of the employee. So the transaction for this screen is PA20. Any doubts till now, Ganesh?
No, sir, no.
No?
Carry on.
Okay. So PA20 is a transaction code to navigate to display HR master data. Similarly, there is a transaction code to navigate to edit master data or maintain master data. Okay. So if you want to go to the initial home screen, you can click here. This is back. So it just goes one step back. So you have been gone to the home screen. So now PA30 is a transaction which will be used to maintain, edit, create the master data of the employee. Okay. So now I am showing you how we can edit the data of the employee, and later on you can practice it on your own. Okay. So there are tools at the top of this page. So these are self-explanatory tools which can be used to make changes to the data. So now let's say I want to create address data. So I gave the number of address info type 6 here, and I want to create subtype. Let's pick a subtype. So I'm picking the temporary residence as a subtype. So now I want to create that data in the for this employee. Okay. So now you can see this new page icon, right? New page, generally you will see this icon in your Excel, Word, and MS tools. So when I click on this create, so it will ask me first to enter the start and end date. So Ganapati can say that so when Ganapati joined, he has given his temporary residence. So what we did, like assume that his date of joining is 1st January 2023. So I have entered the address, and now I'm giving his address details. Like let's enter this. Okay. So postal code will give something. Okay. Then wherever you see this field, this icon, it indicates that it is mandatory. So as long as we don't fill this icon, system will not allow you to save the record. So if I click enter, you can see the error here. It says fill in all required entry fields. So whenever you see this error, that means there is a mandatory field that you are missing to enter. So you can see this icon and go there and enter the field data. Okay. So once we have entered the data, so there is this icon which can be used to save. Now click on save. So it says, see, the postal address should contain 5 character length is what it says, because that's for Germany. So I've given that, and when I click enter, it's saved. Okay. Any doubts, Sunita?
Sai, if it is a single employee or few employees, say for example 2 or 3 employees, we can do it manually like this.
Right.
What about there are bulk employees?
Good question, Sunita. So, if there are bulk employees, there are other means through which you can enter the data. So, I'll come to that part later. But before going into the multiple employee data, I want to make it clear like how we can save the data for each employee. Okay. So, once you get to know how the data is maintained for each employee, it would be easily you can easily understand like how the data will be entered for multiple employees. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now you have created the temporary residence for this employee, entered the data in this system. So you want to view it. You have entered it, saved it, but you never know whether it's saved correctly or not, right? So there is this icon. Wherever you see this spectacle icon, it means to see. Okay. So you can click on this display and you can see the address maintained. Okay. Then so Ganapati came to us and said that, oh sorry, I gave you the wrong address. I want you to make corrections to the address. So then what HR does is they will go to this edit icon, the pencil icon which you see here. It's for edit, or you can mention that as a change. Okay. So we'll go to here and we'll make corrections wherever Ganapati mentioned. Okay, we clicked. When we clicked on enter, the system by default populates here uh, uh, a warning or alert mentioning that whether there are any errors or you can save. So you should understand one thing here. So you know the traffic lights, right? So as there are traffic lights, green, orange and red. Similarly in SAP, green stand for everything is fine, you can proceed. Okay. Whenever there is a yellow or orange pop up, that indicates that something is wrong, but still you can save it. And when there is red, that indicates there is an error and you can't save it. Okay. So you can click on save. So I saved the info, right? Okay. Now Ganpati has worked for some time, and later he said that he is changing his temporary address. Okay. So he said that I'll be there in this address till 1st January 2024, and after that I want to change my address is what he said, and he want that information to be entered right now so that he won't miss informing again to the HR. So what you can do in that case is you can use this copy function. Okay. So whichever info type subtype you want to copy, you can click on copy, and here you can enter the date from which you want to change the data. Okay. So 1/1/2024 Ganapati is changing his address. So I gave some number as postal code and the address is changed. Now I clicked on save. So it says, so it must be 5-character length. So as I said earlier, red stands for stop. So it is stopping us from saving the record. Okay, I entered the 5 characters. Now it's saved. So I have saved the information. So if I click on the display, what will happen? Vatsala, what would happen if I click on display? Can you be able to see both the records? Vatsala, you are on mute if you are speaking. Hello. Vatsala, are you there? Okay. I'll pose this question to Ratna. Ratna,
Yes, I.
if I click on display, will we be able to see both the records or only one record?
One record.
Okay. Let's see if we are able to see both the records or one record. Now, if we see, there is only one record that's being displayed here. So there is also another record which was there from 1/1/2023. So where can I see it? So there are these options which can be used to navigate to the records. So if I click on previous record, it says no previous records. If I click here, the next record, you can see there is another record which we saved earlier. Okay, so you can go like this, or if you want to see both the records at the same time, so what you can do, you have the address and subtype enter here, and you can click this overview. When I click on this overview, you can be able to see both the records. Okay, now again Ganpati came up and said that there is some change to the record that was given earlier. So what you can do, you can select this record. Whenever you select this record, it would be highlighted in this color. So you can click on edit and make changes and save. Done. So this is how you can create, edit and copy a record in the SAP. Now let's say Ganpati said that sorry, I gave you the wrong info, that's not valid, you can delete it. So what you can do in that case is you can select the record and you can see this dustbin icon which will stand for your recycle bin in your desktop. So similarly in SAP, this delete icon. So when you click on this, it will ask again whether you want to delete or not. So if I click here, enter, so it says to delete, choose delete function key again. As I said earlier, yellow is for stop and go. So now it says choose delete function key again. So now I'm clicking on delete. See, now the record is deleted and you are able to see only one record here. Okay, any doubt till this point?
Sai, can you show the delete button over there? I'm not able to see it.
Here, this icon, the dustbin icon.
I'm seeing F3. Your cursor is on F3.
Oh, is it? I think there is a lag. Uh, who is this? Sunita, right?
Yes,
Or Lakshmi?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, are you able to see it now? The delete icon?
This is adjacent to lock. Yeah.
Yeah, adjacent to lock. Correct. Correct. So that is your delete icon. Okay. So I'm showing it again how to delete the record. I'm selecting this record and selecting the delete icon, and when I press enter key in my keyboard, it says to delete, choose delete function key again. So I'm going my pointing the cursor on delete icon again and clicking on that. So now the data is completely deleted. So we have deleted two records. Now let's see if those records were deleted. I'm now clicking on display. When I click on display, see it says no data stored for address in the selected period. So it says that the data related to temporary residence does not exist for this employee. Clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
How to page and previous page?
How to?
Go to next page or previous page.
So you want to view two addresses at the same time?
No. You showed something, your cursor, I was not able to see.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. So if you want to go to the home screen or the previous page, so you can see this green, yellow and red icon, right? So this green icon is for back. So when I click on back, see it goes to the home page.
Okay. Next
Okay.
page.
You
Adjacent to
can't
that.
go to the next page because there is no next page. Unless you are going to give transaction here, you can't go to the next page.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to edit the data, right? So I entered info type 2, and when I clicked on edit, it's taking you to the edit page of the info type 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so now while entering the data, you thought that it is not needed and you were just simply testing whether you are able to edit it or not. Then there is this icon exit at the top, the yellow. You can click on that. Then it will ask you whether do you want to be exit from the current screen. If you click yes, it will take you to the home screen. Okay.
Okay.
So it cancels all the tasks that you were performing. Okay. And then there is also this other icon, red icon. What it does, let's see. So there is this red icon at the top, cancel. Okay. So I'm entering some data, and when I click on cancel, it asks whether you want to exit the current screen. I click yes. It will take you to the previous screen only. But this exit action, actually it took you to the home page. Okay. So this exit action completely cancels your task and takes you to the home page, whereas this cancel will only cancel the activity that you are doing right now. Fine. Okay. Now I'll give
Sir,
you, yeah.
there is any recycle bin like system?
So if once it is deleted, it is deleted. You can't see the data that's deleted. There is some transactions where you can see what was deleted, but you can't get the data back again.
Okay.
Okay. So you have to
Fine.
recreate that data again.
We can watch that, right?
Yeah, we can watch that. So there is something called as auditing. So everyone might have heard about auditing, right? So similarly in SAP, there is a transaction code to audit the data changes that were done on particular info type. So let's assume that there were 4 people working on the same data, like Ratna, Ganapati, Ganesh, and Sunita. Both were working on editing the employee master data, and somebody deleted his bank details, employees' bank details from the employees' master data. So we call this as master data, and let's assume out of you 4, somebody deleted it. Okay. Now Ratna is saying that I didn't delete it. Same goes with everyone. Everyone is saying that I didn't delete it, I didn't delete it. Okay. Then the admin can go to that audit log and can see the user ID of who deleted that master data. So as I said that while logging in, we have entered the user ID, right? So let me show you that. So this user ID field which was assigned under your name. So against this user ID, those logs will be stored, and admin can access those logs and can identify who made those changes. Clear, Ganesh?
Yes, sir. Only admin can see, yeah, right?
So that particular role. So
Okay.
as I was saying, there are transaction codes, right? So this transaction codes access can only be given to those users who require that particular access. So generally, who edits the master data, Ganesh? It's the HR, right? So
Yeah.
only HR will have access to PA30 transaction, the maintain HR master data. Okay.
Yes.
Your manager may have only access to view the data that was entered in the SAP. So your manager will have only access to PA20 but not PA30. Okay. So that roles, like whichever transaction you can or cannot access, are configured in something called as roles in the backend. So those roles will be assigned against the user ID of you. So if you have that particular role, then you will be able to access that particular transaction code.
Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So now coming back to the data maintenance. So let's say Ganapati has given the address. We have deleted it. I am trying to recreate it again. So I've clicked on create. So it says, oh, is this wrong? Address subtype is right. I think there is a lag. Okay. Now here I'm trying to recreate it again. So I pressed enter, address is selected. Now I'm clicking on create icon here, and I gave the date again as 1/1/2023. So I'm entering the data. Saving it. Okay, now I saved the data. Now let's say if the data should be only valid till certain point of time. Uh, Assume that this temporary address is only valid till December 31st, 2023. Then what can we do? Can someone tell me how we can do that? There is start date, end date field, right? We can change. Can we? So what you can do, you can go simply here and try to change this. Let's see what happens if we change here. So instead of that, generally in records what you see is the end date, generally you see it as 31/12/9999. That means lifelong. Okay, 2023. So I made the entry as 13/12/2023. Now I'm trying to see the data. You can see only 31/12/2023. Since there is only one record, you can't view this previous page and previous record and next record icons here. They are grayed out. Okay. If there were two records, you will be able to see that. Now there is also another option to make changes to the end date. Now assume it was 31/12/9999. Okay. Now if I am trying to change the end date from 31/12/999 to 31/12/2023, so we call that as delimiting the date. So you can see this icon here besides delete icon, we call that as delimit tool. If I click on this, it will ask you uh, from when you want the data to be delimited. So I'll enter as 1/1/2024 and I'm pressing on enter. If you see the records, you can find the record, select it, and then again click on this delimit function. Okay, so now you got a pop-up here, records delimited. Now let's see what is happened to that particular record. See, now the system automatically delimited the address to 31/12/2023. Okay, so now you are clear with how you can create, edit, see, copy, delimit, and delete, and overview whenever there are more than 2 or 3 records. Is it clear? Now, if there are any questions, feel free to ask. There is nothing called as silly doubt. Please go ahead. I'll give you a minute. So, go ahead. Ask me any question.
Sai, you have entered 1/1/2024, right? But
Right.
it's 31/12/2023. Is it the same way for all the delimiting dates?
Yes. So, whenever you are entering the delimit date, it will ask you from when you want to delimit. So, it's +1 date, Sunita. So, if you want to delimit it to 31/12/2023, you have to enter +1 date there.
Okay, okay,
From that date, the record will be deleted.
okay.
Clear?
Yeah, thanks.
Ganesh, any doubts? I am not asking others because they are well versed with this data entry.
Sir, is there any records for I mean that dates like changing date? Can I watch that?
You want a recorded session?
No, sir, no, sir. Actually, you change it here, na?
Mm-hmm.
SAP GI.
Right, right.
Can we watch that date? I mean that changing dates.
Okay, you want me to change the dates. Okay, I clicked on
Yeah.
edit. Now here, I can put my cursor here and make changes to this. So let's say if you want to make it
Hello?
till 31/12/2024. Yeah. Hello.
Okay.
Sai, so
Yeah.
he's asking about is, so if we change any record with the dates,
Mhm.
so maybe we can see that that log in the audit session, like when this
Yes.
change, when this date was changed and who
Yes.
this date was changed.
Okay.
Who
Okay.
changed the data?
Yeah. So Ganesh, if you see here, there are these two fields which indicate when this change happened and by which user ID the change happened.
Okay.
Okay. So now even this will help you to identify who made that changes. But once the record is deleted, there will be no record to display, right? You can't see like who deleted the change because then
Yes.
the record does not exist to view. Okay. So now I'm saving it. So it's saved. So let's see when I clicking on display, see now the end date is changed to 24. Clear? So now I'm clicking on back. Okay. So from maintain data, you can again go back to the PA20 display master data. How you can do that is like this: HR master data, go to display. Okay. So here you won't be able to see those editing options like delete, delimit, create, because this transaction is only meant for viewing the data but not editing it. Okay. So these are the info types that we have. So I'll come to the point where you can view info type and info type numbers, and there is something here, period window. So what does this do? So let's assume that there were 5 records. So 5 temporary address were stored for Ganapati, and you want to view the address that was valid for 2023. So what you can do here is, we call this as radio buttons in SAP. There is round buttons, so you can select those radio buttons. Okay. So when I'm selecting this radio buttons, please observe that there is change that is happening in these two fields. Are you able to observe this, Ganesh?
Yes, sir. Yes. I
Yeah.
can see.
So when I select this, we call this as validity. So from when I select it as today, so only the today's date. So whatever the records that are valid on today's date, when I clicked on overview, only those you will be able to see. So let me show you with an example. So this record has started 1/1/2001 till 31/12/999. So this record is valid even on today's date, right? So that is the reason why it's displayed. Similar for this. So it is valid, so you can see that. So if I make changes to that date, let's see. So I'll select this radio button here and I'll put 1/1/2025 till 31/12/9999. So what I'm trying to see here is the records that are valid from 1st January 2025 till 31/12/999. So now when I click on overview, you will be able to see only one record. Earlier there were two records, right? So now you are able to see only one record because the other record is not valid for this validity dates. Okay. Sunita, any doubts here?
No, sorry.
Okay. So similarly, you can view what are the records that are valid for current week or current month or last week or last month or only for the current year. So whenever you want to see the records, the best possible way is to select this radio button all. So when I select this radio button all, it displays the data from the existence till lifelong. So 1/1/1800 till 31/12/99, So whatever the records that are there in the system for that particular employee will be displayed in this screen. Okay. Any questions till now? I take it as a no. Hello. Is that Sunita who was speaking?
Yes, I don't have any question.
Okay,
Not
fine.
me.
Okay. Then, as I was saying, it's very much important that you remember the codes for each info type, so that you can enter the info type number here and press enter, and you will get the details of that particular info type. So there are codes assigned for each information type, as I said earlier. Okay. So I'll exclude some of the most important info types today because you may not be able to understand them as of now, but something that you will be able to understand, I'll show you. Okay. So please make a note of this. Ganesh, you can take a note of this if you want to. So info type 2 is where the personal data related to the employee will be stored. So now when I click on display, you will be able to see the personal data like the name, birth name, birth date, language, nationality, birthplace, and marital status, all these things. Okay. Then comes the info type 6. So
Sorry, sorry to interrupt. I'll have to drop off the urgent personal work now. Right then.
Okay, Ratna, totally fine. Yeah, you can go. Yeah.
Fine.
Okay. Right. Getting back to this, uh, we have info type 6 for addresses. So there may be certain info types which may have subtypes which you can correlate them as sub information. So these subtypes may be permanent address, emergency address, mailing address, and so on. Okay. So info type 6 is for address, and even for subtypes there would be a number in the backend. So if you see this subtype column, you can see the numbers here. So subtype 1 is for permanent resident, subtype 10 is for emergency contact, subtype 6 is for nursing address, and so on. Okay. Then we have something called as info type 9. Info type 9 is where the bank details of you will get stored. Ganapati, what will happen if you don't give the employer the bank details of yours?
So without any bank details, how the organization will send the employer salary to that particular person?
Correct.
So that the bank details is required for that.
Correct. So bank details is very much mandate. So this is where you can see the bank details of the employee. So there can be multiple banks as well. So employee can say that, okay, 50% of my salary should be transferred to one bank and 50% of salary to the other bank. Employee can say that. So in that case, what will have the subtypes as main bank and the other bank. So in the main bank, they can give one bank address, and in the other bank they can give the other bank address. So here you can give the name of yours in the bank, and the postal key, code, everything of yours, and then we have something called IFSC code in India, right? Similarly, for in any other countries we call them as bank key. So this will help you to identify that particular branch of that particular bank. Okay. So in SAP terminology, whenever there is something you hear as bank key, that means IFSC code in India. Okay. And then you have your bank account number. So if you don't enter your bank account number, you won't get the salary. And in which currency the employer should credit the amount in your bank is this payment currency. Okay. So this is all about info type 9. Then there comes the most important part. So while joining, employer would
Hello.
have said that.
Sai,
Yeah.
sir,
Yeah.
2 bank numbers ఇస్తే 50% అలా ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ అవుతుందా?
అవుతుంది
లైక్
అవుతుంది yeah,
అవుతుందా?
it will happen.
ఓకే.
So
ఇక్కడ
first priority
సబ్ టైప్స్ ఉంది
first
కదా?
correct.
సబ్ టైప్స్ లో ఇప్పుడు మనం కస్టమైజేషన్ చేసుకోవచ్చు అంటే మన ఓన్ ఏదైనా ఇప్పుడు జీరో
Yes,
ఒకసారి ఓపెన్
పెట్టుకోవచ్చు.
చేస్తారా సబ్ టైప్స్ ఒకసారి ఇన్ఫో
Okay.
టైప్స్ లో
Okay. Display is on, yeah. You can see.
సబ్ టైప్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇన్ఫో టైప్స్ లో ఒకసారి ఓపెన్ చేస్తారా?
ఇది సబ్ టైప్ మెయిన్ బ్యాంక్ ఓకే సో
ఓకే.
ఇందులో
యాక్చువల్గా
సబ్ టైప్స్ ఉన్నాయి
ఎస్ సార్ కస్టమైజ్డ్ మనం ఏమైనా చేసుకోవచ్చా దీంట్లో యాడ్ చేసుకోవచ్చా అని సబ్ టైప్స్ లో?
చేసుకోవచ్చు
ఓకే ఓకే సార్ ఎలా అది?
that will come during the configuration. Now I'm talking
Configuration.
about data maintenance, so you should know the terminology, the info types, and the data that would be maintained in those info types. Once you are familiar with all this, then we'll come to the configuration part.
ఓకే
Okay.
అండ్ 2 బ్యాంక్స్ ఇచ్చినప్పుడు 50% ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ అవుతుంది అన్నారు కదా అది ఎలా?
అవును చెప్తాను నేను ఓకే ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చూపిస్తాను నేను ఓకే
ఓకే
సో ఐల్ కమ్ టు PA30 PA30 I'll enter info type 9 so I'll select the other bank. Okay, now I'll create the other bank details for this employee. Okay, so for any record there will be start date and end date. Okay, so I'll select the bank key here. So I'm selecting a bank key and then entering some random number as the account number, and then you can see the percentage here, right Ganesh? So
Yes, sir.
you can enter the percentage that you want to transfer to the other bank. Let's say your salary is 1000, okay, 1000 euros. So you want to transfer 50% of that 1000 euros to the other bank. So you can enter 50 here, okay, and save it. So what happens is while transferring the amount, first priority will be given to the other bank. So 50% will be credited to the other bank and remaining 50% will happen to the main bank. Okay, let's say if you are having three banks, Ganesh, okay, in that case you can create two other banks.
Okay.
I am creating again another bank, so I'll give 25% to the other bank. Okay, so now there will be two other banks and one main bank. So first priority will be given to other banks, and only if there is any amount left after transferring to other bank, only that will get transferred to the main bank. Okay,
Okay sir, thank you.
so I've entered 25% and then clicked on save. So now, as I said earlier, the best option is to select radio button all because it displays all the records irrespective of validity dates. So now I click on overview. You can see only one subtype because the subtype entered here is 1. I'll remove the subtype and click on enter. Now you see there are 4 records. Okay. So earlier there were 2 records already in the system, that's why you are able to see 4 records. Now I created other banks with two subtypes, right, 50% and 25%. If you see here, the other banks are there with 50 and 25%, and main bank, if you see, main bank can exist only once for one particular date. So here you can't see both the records with 3112,999 because only one main bank can be existing at one point of time. So from 1/20/2002 you can see the main bank. Clear? Hello?
Yes sir, clear.
Yeah.
Can
And
you repeat this, Sai?
so you want
Only
me to
one,
repeat
yeah, these dates. Only one will be till 31/12/9999. What about the other dates?
So there is something called as time constraint in SAP, Sunita. So for depending on the info type, the information type that you are giving, a record can exist only once during a particular point of time, or there can be multiple records related to same information during the same time. Like the other banks, these are two different bank details, right? So during the same time we can have two records. But when I said main bank itself indicates that it's a single bank, so you can't have two main banks at the same time. That is the reason why on any particular date you can be able to see only one record. So from 1 2001 till 31 2001 the main bank is this, and then from 1 2002 till 31 1299 the main bank is this. So there might be
Yeah, this is only
someone.
a bank.
Yeah, I mean to say that this is just an example when we take the bank information, but there can be other info types like the permanent address in info type 6. So you can have, there are certain informations in the system where you should have only once during any point of time. There are other informations which can exist multiple times. Okay, for example, like let's say you might have seen basic salary in your payslip, right, Sunita?
Yes.
So when somebody asks HR what is Sunita's basic pay, so she will go to the SAP and check your basic pay. So there will be only one record on that particular day. Like let's say 10,000 euros. So HR says okay 10,000 euros. So there is only one record on that day. What if there were two records, 10,000, 5,000? HR will get confused, right? So that is the reason why I'm saying depending on information there can be multiple or a single record.
Okay. Okay.
So that is something that we call as time constraints, which you will understand once I get into more in-depth discussion on this info types. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
In the same example, about the other banks. Other banks can have two or
yeah,
three.
other banks, because those are different banks, right? So other banks, two different banks and two different account numbers that I gave.
Yeah.
See, so that is the reason why it can exist at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Got
So if you clearly observe the screen, there is an icon which you have not seen till this point of time. So can you see this lock symbol here?
Yeah.
So what this does is, like let's say somebody gave you wrong information, but they said that to delete it. You'll go and delete it, but you don't have proof that they said you to delete that. Okay, in that case what you can do is, instead of deleting, you can select the record and just click on lock. So when I click on lock, you can see this lock symbol at beside the user ID. Okay, so this indicates record is locked. Now you can save. So
Not a block. No. Maybe system lag.
might be, Sunita. So let me show you that again. Are you able to see the screen perfectly now, or is there still any lag? I'm actually highlighting a record and scrolling towards right.
Yes. Yes. Now I am able to see.
Yeah. So when I scroll towards right, you can see this lock indicator field. So this
Yeah.
lock symbol indicates that this record is locked and it is not valid or will not be considered for payroll. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
if I have locked by mistake and if I have to unlock it again, I can go here and click on this lock symbol again. Now here there will not be any lock symbol displayed. I'll click enter and save. So now if I move towards right, you can see that there are no lock indicators, which means that the record is active and will be picked in payroll.
Got it. If we
Yeah.
lock it, that lock is just instead of deleting, we are locking it.
Right. So it indicates that we have got some information that this record should be logged, and we logged it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Right. So info type 9 is for bank. Okay. I hope you have noted it down. So while joining, so the first thing you might have asked is how many days in a week am I supposed to work? Correct? And then let's say if the employer said, okay, you have to work 5 days a week, starting from Monday till Friday. Then the next question comes, what is the timing? Okay, so they said that your shift is from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Okay, so even the shift details of you must be saved in the system. So where does it get stored in SAP system is info type 7. Okay, so when I click on info type 7, it says planned working time. So if I want to see the data, I can go here. I'm seeing if there is any data maintained here. So this will contain your working hours for that particular day. So this does not have working hours, so you can't see it. Okay. Now if I go to the working hours, you can see that there are planned working hours of 8 hours, and this is the work schedule on that particular day. So it's from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Okay, I'll go back. So if you see here, this is calendar. So January 2001. So hello, did someone dropped off from the call?